Okay, so this is a video of my process of how I start the year out, or sometimes multiple times throughout the year, to kind of do a check-in on how my world's looking. And so I'm going to do a number of different whiteboard screens here to walk through this. So one of the first things that I do is I basically create a mind map, and I put myself in the middle here. And then what I do is I create different categories of my life. So what are the different categories of my life that are important to me? And you can have as many categories as you want. I probably would keep it around 8 to 10. So it might be, you could even start as generic as personal, professional. You could do physical health. You could do mental health. You could do spiritual health, whatever it was. And then you could also do different things. So it might be something else you could put here could be your relationships. And again, this is all just designed to be brainstorming. So relationships might be a shoot off of personal, right? So friendships, family relationships, et cetera. Professional could break down into, sales, if that's something that you're in a role of, or a number of different things. So, and the idea of what I did here is I kept pushing out until I got more specific. So as I got away from the center, I got more specific on what these things were. So for instance, with physical health, maybe I want to run a marathon. And then we can get more specific on what the training would look like. Maybe I want to have certain nutritional goals. And so as I kept going out, I get more specific. Again, nutrition could break down then into, hiring a nutritionist maybe, and working with a person to help me with my nutrition. A physical could be, getting a running coach, whatever it is. And it's just, the idea is to start with yourself in the center and then work your way out. And what you're looking for is categorizing the things in your life that are most important to you, so that you can design your year to line up with the things that you say matter most to you. Because otherwise what happens is we end up living reactively. So that's where I start there. Then what I've done is, and this is I do this either on a whiteboard or on a big piece of poster board. But I start to break things down as well. And there's some categories that I started to ask myself about. One of them was what lights me up? Like, what do I get really excited about? So for example, for me, adventures, camping, I really enjoy reading and writing. I love safaris. I love ice baths. I love feeling healthy. I love volunteer work. And so, I would write all those things in there just so I'm aware of, like, what lights me up, what gets me excited, what do I live life for, what gets me out of bed in the morning. Then I also wrote down a place where I wrote down my wildest dreams. And this is kind of like the outlandish, crazy, um, whatever it is, like, a life where I'm making, tens of millions of dollars a year. I'm going on lots of safaris. I can buy whatever house I want. I can give money away. I can volunteer a lot. I can do a lot of pro bono work. I can create all of that stuff. I've got lots of real estate residual income coming in, let's say. And so you just write those things out, the things that you think will be impossible in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, or a lifetime. So you just, again, this is all brainstorming. Then another category that I had was like, what do I want to focus on for, this year ahead? What are the things I want to focus on that'll be really, really important if I'm going to, going back to the other whiteboards, if I'm gonna start living in line with what lights me up, my wildest dreams, the things that are important to me, what am I going to focus on for this year? Because you can't focus on everything every year. Then a couple of other things that I wrote out on my poster board were what weekend trips would be really fun. So I started doing that because for me, I'm not a natural planner, if you will, in a sense of like planning months out, weekends out, et cetera, et cetera. And so I wrote down like what would be really fun weekend trips so that I can start calendaring them into my calendar. So I put that in there. And then the last thing that I did was, this is an idea from a guy named Jesse Itzler, but he has a thing called a misogi, which basically is like one life altering goal that year. So this could be, maybe it's doing an Ironman, maybe it's writing a book, whatever that is. something big that would be life altering, like pretty significant. So you want to think about that in the sense of like, this is not just a small weekend trip. This is something that's life altering. So I did all that. And then what I did from there, because for me, it's like, this is the brainstorming, brain dump, get excited about things, what lights you up, all these different things. And then what you can do is, what I did is I took it and I created an Excel spreadsheet essentially to be able to track. If you remember the first screen here with all these different categories, I wanted to be able to figure out what in here do I really want to track well, and what would help me to have tracking systems. So I then created an Excel spreadsheet, and again, you can do this however you want, but I created an Excel spreadsheet where, I've got rows and columns here. And what I did was I took it and made a column, like could be physical health. And then I would write out like what does physical health look like for me? And what does mental health look like for me? And what does nutrition look like for me? And because I wanted to say like, okay, if I took a level up from like, let's say a 5 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10 in my nutrition, what would need to happen? And this, again, this is still brainstorming. I'm not committing to anything yet, because I just want to get ideas out on the board, want to get my life planned out for this year. And it has helped me get a high level view of how to do that. So I started to build this Excel spreadsheet out. And then I picked some things that I wanted to track. So for instance, again, this is just me. This is what I'm experimenting with right now. One of the things I thought was, there's some things I wanted to be able to track, and I have I travel quite a bit. And so I want to be able to track certain physical things where I could track it no matter where I was traveling at. And so what I did was I decided, okay, I'm going to track how many push-ups I do this year. And I have a goal of doing, 100 a day. And so then I will track those as I go, and then see if it adds up to 36,500 push-ups in a year. I also started tracking my cardio minutes, and I set a goal of doing 25 cardio minutes a day. And that's just something I could track, because I can run, I can ride the Peloton, I can do a stair machine, I can, there's a lot of things there that you can do. And so I decided there's some things I wanted to track that would really be helpful for me. So I took everything again from here and just started to work it out from the center to where it got more specific. And then I figure out, what did I want to track? I'm not tracking everything here. This is just, again, it's a brain dump. It's getting your stuff out of your head so you can figure out what really matters to me, what makes my life worth living. And so for some of us, it may be professional goals. For some of us, it may be professional goals that lead to money, that lead to creating the life I want. For some of us, it might be relationship goals. Whatever that is, this is meant for you to figure out what matters to you. And so that's what this idea is going for. And then I invite you to get creative with how you track things. Use Excel spreadsheets, use Asana, use which is a project management software, use some sort of project management software, Evernote. Again, it doesn't really matter to me. Get creative so that you can design the life that you want year after year, and then build it into your calendar so that you actually achieve the goals and what things matter to you the most.